Does he point at you? Tell me that you got to show. I need you to show me exactly what he did. This is very important. No, you need to get up. Can you get up, please? It's very important.
This is Cheyanne Jessie showing detectives exactly how she killed her father. At this point, she is under the false assumption she will walk free from this room. Mere hours ago, Cheyanne and her partner Matthew Cody Munro voluntarily walked into the Polk County Sheriff's office to discuss the disappearance of her father and 6-year-old daughter.
Did you come here under arrest or anything like that? Mm-hmm. Did you come here because you wanted help or did...
I wanted help find my daughter. Okay. And my dad. Like, he texted us on my fiance's phone. My phone was kind of jacked up that week. Okay. It was time for me to get minutes on my phone, and my data was low. So. Okay. But
so you wanted to come? You came here freely? You wanted to help? You wanted to come here?
Yeah, I wanted to help my dad.
On July 18th, 2015, almost 3 weeks prior to this footage, Cheyanne visited her father Mark, leaving her daughter Meredith to stay with him for the summer. The pair hadn't been sighted since, and Cheyanne finally reported them missing on August 1st. As far as she's concerned, the authorities harbor no suspicion against her, and Cheyanne is eager to play the part of despondent mother and daughter. But with weeks slipping by before she sought help from the police, she's instantly under scrutiny. Cheyanne is here of her own volition, and she sits with detectives undetained, having not yet received a Miranda warning. But detectives Matthew Newbold and Jeffrey Clark are already laying the foundations for the controversial and legally risky two-step interrogation method, which aims to impugn the suspect's lies before an arrest even takes place. The traps they set whilst Cheyanne remains a free woman will rupture her veneer and reveal the makings of Meredith and Mark's harrowing fates.
What is your daughter's name?
Meredith Cheyanne Jessie. Leeann, one word.
And she's 6?
Yes, sir.
And who does she live with full time?
Me, but my dad was talking about maybe taking her just till school starts.
So this last time you dropped her off, y'all were talking about him taking her till school starts?
Yeah, until she gets straight, because she behaves better for him. She has oppositional defiancy. Okay.
Here we have our first glimpse into the life and personality of 6-year-old Meredith Jessie, Cheyanne's only child. Meredith was diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder at a very young age, a condition characterized by consistent, uncooperative, and often hostile behavior towards authority figures. It seems that Meredith viewed her grandfather, Mark, as less of a looming authority figure than her mother, Cheyanne. Of course, Meredith and Mark aren't present to ratify such a claim, and the way Cheyanne presents her family will reveal far more about her own character than theirs.
Basically, where she has the word problem. Okay. She's actually said that the police can't touch her. And I said, yeah, they can. They're pretty powerful people.
Have you called the police on her before?
No, I haven't called the police on her before, but I've had her Baker acted.
I'm sorry?
Baker acted.
Okay, Baker acted?
Yeah.
What Cheyanne is referring to here is Florida's Mental Health Act of 1971, a law more commonly known as the Baker Act. This allows for involuntary admission into psychiatric care if certain violent or suicidal signs of mental illness are displayed. As Meredith's legal guardian, Cheyanne's consent is all that's needed to have her daughter committed.
So she got Baker acted when she went to the doctor and they determined that, or...
Yeah, she said that I've seen this before and we don't get a handle on it now, and she's seen some pretty worse scenarios. Okay. And that she goes, it's a chemical imbalance also in the brain.
Is it, did they say that it's hereditary or anything like that?
Mm-hmm.
Or? Okay.
Yeah, with her dad having it and my mom having it, and then my grandma has it and some of my siblings have it.
It's interesting to note that while listing such an extensive family history of mental illness, Cheyanne doesn't mention her own. At 8 years old, she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, a remarkably young age for such a diagnosis, and family members recall violent outbursts such as her strangling another child during an argument. This isn't to say that those with mental health conditions are compelled to commit violent crimes. On the contrary, people with mental illness are far more likely to be a victim than the perpetrator. What Cheyanne's omission reveals is her tendency to offload blame. demonizing others before she'll even consider her own culpability. Keeping this in mind, she will shed a troubling light on her statements moving forward as she describes the day her daughter went missing.
But it's, in these missing person cases, the reason why, if you're wondering, the reason why I ask all these questions, because believe it or not, I've done this job a long time, believe it or not, I need to almost like know her whole life and what she does and all that kind of stuff, okay? So that's why we ask all these questions. So if she was supposed to go to the doctor on the 20th, do you know if she went?
I know I don't. They called me and I let them know that my dad was supposed to take her and everything.
When did they call you?
That day that she wasn't there.
Okay. So they called after they apparently didn't show up?
Yeah, and I tried calling my dad, and it's like, when I call him, his phone's turned off.
Okay.
So, and I know whenever he gets mad at me, he turns the phone off.
That day specifically, do you remember they left your message? Do you remember about how long it was until you called your dad?
No sir, I don't remember.
Okay. And did you leave a voicemail for him?
No, I don't like leaving voicemails.
Okay.
I don't like his voicemail. It says, leave me a number. Okay, you ring my phone, ring my number, got my phone, leave me a message or leave me alone.
That's what your dad's voicemail says?
Yeah.
How many times did you try calling him?
They had called him once, and then I don't remember exactly how many times I tried calling him over the past couple of days.
I mean, that day, whenever because he was supposed to take your daughter to the doctor, right?
Yeah.
And they're calling saying, hey, basically, they haven't shown up, or is someone bringing her to the doctor? So did you try calling your dad just once?
Yeah.
Just one time? And it went to voicemail? Straight voicemail?
Yes.
Cheyanne's attempts to follow up on her daughter's absence are unenthusiastic at best. She wasn't concerned enough to notice when the doctor's office called her to even estimate how long before she could call back, and she gave up on reaching her father after calling just once. She seems more preoccupied with complaining about Mark and how he ignores her calls when they argue about how to care for Meredith. For Cheyanne, this is an opportunity to vent her frustration, to let others in on the tension within her family. But for the detectives, these are seeds that could have sprouted motive. She throws Mark under the bus for his disapproval of Meredith's medications, and she does so with little prompting, revealing how this resentment dominates her mind. She repeats the idea that Meredith is less antagonistic with Mark, revealing that Cheyanne believes the 6-year-old's hostility is reserved entirely for herself. It's easy to miss, but at first mention of a dispute between father and daughter, Detective Newbold writes notes for the first time since taking down basic housekeeping. This is the first step in building a timeline of events, any inconsistencies in which will be used to confront Cheyanne later in the interview. For now, the goal is simply to keep her talking.
And I told him about how I was afraid of her staying at the house because she comes to the door. I actually had to lock my bedroom door because she whispers through the door, "Better be glad this door's locked." And she's threatened me so many times, and I just don't feel safe with her. When I'm with her alone, I have the door shut and I can see through the crack where she sleeps.
Okay.
And I normally wait until she's asleep before I go upstairs. And I removed all the knives and everything from downstairs, but since she's not been home for a week, I've kind of been able to bring my knives back out so I can cook and everything.
Okay. So she's hard to deal with.
Yeah, I don't understand how to deal with the bipolar or child with disabilities, so I just tell my dad, well, maybe if I sign my rights away to somebody who would be able to handle her and be able to like see if...
Especially if your dad's saying that she's fine around him, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, this time when she went to Orlando, where was she, who Baker acted her?
Well, she scratched her face up, and so I was like, when I went upstairs and told her, I said, give me a second, I'll turn TV on, let me go change into my comfortable clothes out of my jeans. We just got done seeing my cousins. They came in town. I went upstairs, I came downstairs, and I go, baby, come here. And he goes, what? I said, just come here and look what she did.
When you said baby, you talking about Matthew?
Yeah, my fiance. Okay. And he comes down and goes, what did she do? I said, I don't know what she did. And then she went all kind of just, like this, everything doesn't revolve around me. I'm like, nothing revolves around anybody.
Oh, like she wanted attention?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, like, I just said, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what to do.
Cheyanne freely admits she doesn't know how to handle Meredith's attention-seeking and her desire to surrender her daughter to those better equipped to care for her. But even if these stories are true, and this desperation contextualizes any harm done to the 6-year-old, it cannot absolve one of guilt.
And they've done EEG with her brain. They've sent her to a cardiologist. I found out she does have bicuspid aortic valve, I think is what it's called, so we got like 2 valves in your heart instead of 3. Mm-hmm. They said it's nothing to be concerned with, just watch her and everything. So I kind of became like, I'm overprotective. I don't really let her go outside very much unless I'm out there.
Cheyanne has plenty to say about how caring and invested she is as a mother. Yet, when Newbold asks for specifics about the quality of their relationship and what they do together, the examples she offers are darkly at odds with how Cheyanne characterizes herself.
Tell me about you and your daughter's relationship. What do y'all normally do together? And, I know she has issues.
Well, every time I go to try to tickle her, like, you know, mamas do, and try to love on her and stuff, she turns to violent towards me. She's knocked my glasses off or they've broken up here. Several times she's choked me.
It would make more sense for her to bring up brighter memories, but Cheyanne's inability to handle Meredith's behavior preoccupies her mind enough to overwhelm this logic. As she lists how the child has broken her glasses, choked her, and punched her in the stomach, Cheyanne spares little thought for how her daughter feels, of her interests, desires, and goals. Her only concern is what Meredith does to her, how the 6-year-old has wronged her.
She actually punched me in the stomach, and I actually started spotting, and I went to the doctor back in April. This was before she got big bractic. And
this before what now?
She got big bractic.
Oh, okay.
Like, ever got big bractic. And they said I was pregnant, but I was spotting, and they didn't see the baby, but the tests were positive. So I went down to a clinic, and I had to have an abortion because my body was trying to have a miscarriage, but
who was the father of that child, Matthew?
Whilst the pregnancy was unplanned, and of course Meredith didn't intentionally cause this harm, this loss doesn't bode well for Cheyanne's sentiment toward her daughter. In contrast with her abasement of Meredith to a violent menace, Cheyanne is eager to explain how supportive Cody is and all the kind things he does for her.
We kind of like, we just held each other's close and said, we'll work through this. He said, I'm here for you for everything.
Her portrayal of each reveals a clearer picture of how she perceives those around her. For the detectives, it imparts potential motive.
A lot of her behavioral problems started out when she was in VPK, when she was at A+ Learning Center. Okay. And I've always wondered, did something happen there or anything? And now maybe she blames me because, you know, Mama's supposed to protect me. Mama wasn't there.
How old was she when she was there?
She started going there when she was about a year old. Recently I started getting cash assistance, and I was on food stamps. I'm still on food stamps, but...
Is Matthew on food stamps as well?
No.
Okay.
I just haven't updated my food stamps yet.
How would you classify, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, how is you and Matthew's relationship?
I'd say it's about a 10.
Really? So y'all plan on getting married and all that?
That's good. We just want to just get my daughter help first, and, you know, put some years in between knowing each other's instead of like rushing into marriage like everybody else does in our age. We, you know, we're comfortable with each other. I feel safe. I feel safer when I'm with him than I do when my daughter's there with me alone. And I try to make sure that I'm not alone with her because of her mentality.
Okay.
Cheyanne's depiction of Cody is, again, poles apart from her attitude towards Meredith. Newbold seeks to put this gap in more quantifiable terms. She's committed to marrying him eventually, but on his condition that Meredith's behavioral problems must first be tamed. Considering how thoroughly defeated Cheyanne feels when it comes to her daughter, one must wonder how she hoped to overcome this hurdle to live happily ever after.
So on a scale, I know that your daughter has issues. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you classify you and your daughter's relationship, 10 being the best?
I was trying to make it at least an 8, but she...
But realistically,
about
it's
5.
A 5? Okay.
Because every time I go to hug her, she turns to violence towards me, and I'm like, okay. But when I come home from work and I'm tired, and I say, give me just a little bit, let me calm down from work, and then we can play. I used to take her out to do stuff when I had the money. We used to go see movies sometimes or go to a park, but then she started becoming a little weird when it comes to strangers. Like, she went up to a stranger and shaved him and told her whole whatever she knew. If she knew her address, she probably would have told him that. And
how would you classify Matthew's relationship with your daughter on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best?
He was trying to make it like a 10, but...
Of course, we all want everything to be a 10.
Yeah, but he goes, I don't know how to deal with her. I've never really had a kid.
Right.
And he goes...
So that makes it better.
Basically, he's never alone with her. He goes, I don't want to be alone with her. But matter of fact, she's a little girl. There's people will accuse me of all different things. I'd rather just be safe, and he takes her with his family. And as long as she's buying him things, she's happy and she loves him. But when he says, well, I can't buy it, we have to pay bills, then she hates him. And then she tells him that the only thing he's good for is money. And I said, no, he's trying to be a dad to you because your dad is with his other family right now. That's what I tell her, so that's why she doesn't feel like, well, my dad abandoned me.
When Cheyanne belabors her own efforts and imagines Meredith as motivated by reasons like greed, she presents their dynamic as adult and reciprocal in nature. Cheyanne is a martyr who has been wronged, and assuming malice behind her daughter's behavior allows her to feel comfortable with any enmity she herself feels. It's much easier to hate a spiteful materialistic figure than to confront the uncomfortable reality that behavioral disorders are complex, often leading to irrational behavior that can't easily be categorized as good or bad.
For mine and her relationship, we seem to be like almost at a 9. When me and my daughter. Okay. When she's with my dad. Okay. Because like my dad Grandpa came into some money, and then he had some money stashed up, so he can buy her what she wants when she wants, and she listens to his theory. She thinks all adults are stupid but Grandpa. Okay. Did she tell you that? Yeah. She's actually told me I'm stupid.
Do you think that, having said that, do you think it's better for you and your relationship with Matthew if she's with your dad full time?
We've actually been able to focus on our relationship instead of constantly looking over our shoulder. What's she going to do next? What's she going to destroy? Right. So it does make y'all's relationship better? Yeah. Okay.
Cheyanne revisits the idea that Meredith behaves for those spending money on her, this time referring to her father Mark. Though Cheyanne will often comment her daughter is more amicable around Mark, she again reduces the reasons for this to Meredith's greed and entitlement. Regardless of this rationalization, she's confident that her relationship with Cody is stronger when her daughter is in Mark's care, illuminating Cheyanne's motivation to be free of the child. Newbold continues asking basic logistical questions, such as where she and Cody work, camouflaging amongst them the more conspicuous attempts to steer their conversation, all while building a detailed timeline.
I get punched a lot. Okay. It's basically, I try to wake her up and I get hurt.
Every time you wake up, she starts punching you?
Yeah, kicking her or anything and saying, I don't want to get up, and I'm not going to because you're not the boss.
Okay. How does that make you feel?
Scared.
Okay. Does it make you angry? Sad?
No.
This attempt to quite literally put the word angry in his suspect's mouth doesn't pay off. But given how comfortable and talkative Cheyanne feels at present, this doesn't detract from the interview's momentum.
What time was Matt's shift? Does he go by Matt or Matthew?
He goes by Cody at the house.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Matthew is what he uses for like paperwork and
so Cody,
doctors and stuff.
Cody, you take Cody to work at what time?
I packed her bag for my dad's, and that's when, because she was already going to go with him that weekend. Okay. So I talked to him about, well, if I sign my rights away to somebody who can take care of her and get her the proper medication and everything, and he said, well, you're here to have your child like your mother did you.
Cheyanne reiterates her plans to relinquish custody of Meredith to someone else. Only this time, her father's views on this are revealed. According to Cheyanne, Mark likened her to her own negligent mother, which would be a difficult comment to hear considering Cheyanne was placed in Mark's custody after years of abuse at the hand of her own mother. Just as Cheyanne fears the damage Meredith could inflict on her relationship with Cody, this point of contention between her and her father will inform Newbold's line of questioning.
So the phone rings, something picks up, the phone picks up.
Yeah.
Right? And he wasn't talking to you, it sounded like he was doing something?
Yeah.
Okay, what did you hear in the background?
I don't know what your mother sees is wrong with you.
Okay.
I think my dad's been back talking to me behind my back. My kid, his wife, she's probably also.
Okay.
Cheyanne not only gives the detectives motive on a silver platter by using this interrogation to vent about her father, but unbeknownst to her, police will soon discover that the pair were already dead by this time, and a phone call impossible. On the 20th of July, 2015, Cody received a text message from Mark's phone stating that he would be leaving Florida, never to return, and that he had been diagnosed with cancer, with a short time left to live. The reality is that Mark never sent these messages or had any intention to move state. The texts were sent by Cheyanne. In order to further becloud reality, her text also elaborates that Mark would be taking Meredith with him to spend his final days with his granddaughter.
So, Wednesday you find out that your dad says he's going to Georgia, he has a year later. Did he say he was taking your baby?
Yeah.
Okay. But
see family is what he said.
But we know on the 20th and Monday the 20th and Tuesday the 21st, you drove by there and the cars were there. They were just situated different. So they probably haven't left yet at that point. Yeah. Like, how else would he get there?
As Cheyanne weaves the story of her terminal father running off to Georgia, her mentions of specific dates quickly create an opportunity for Newbold to target an inconsistency. If Mark announced his departure on the 20th, yet Cheyanne saw his car had moved on the 21st, he can't have left when Cheyanne claims he did. Catching this oversight doesn't bode well for Cheyanne's ability to track her own testimony, and equally displays the close attention Newbold is paying. This is our first hint of a confrontation, yet it's tempered by filler words and pauses to maintain a tone of inquiry rather than challenge. The detectives need to cover significant ground before they can justify an arrest, so they must keep their suspect comfortable enough to continue talking for now. Cheyanne, in turn, simply plays up her confusion to cover the error.
Okay, when you went in the front door, was there anything out of place or anything?
It just stunk in there, but everything looked just like it did whenever you guys came over and I filled out that report.
Okay, so it stunk in there. What did it smell like?
It just smelled like dead rats or dead something.
Okay. Did you find out what that smell was?
Well, I did find some rats and stuff and I threw them away.
You found some rats?
Yeah.
Okay. But was that the smell?
Yeah.
Where were they at?
They were in the kitchen.
You have a rat? Your dad has a rat problem in there?
Yeah.
Has he had it for a while?
Yeah.
Does he put out rat traps or anything?
Yeah, and that we've actually found rat feces right by the water heater, which is the little door that's right behind the dining room set. Okay. And then I found rat feces on the stove.
So you identified the smell as the dead rats?
Yeah.
And you threw them away right then? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
This anecdote about decaying rats is, of course, an attempt to explain away any smell of death. But the time for confrontation has not yet arrived. To bolster this information-gathering phase in the meantime, Newbold introduces punishment and reward tactics with the aim of conditioning Cheyanne to continue staying on track.
So they take care of the dog, and then you take is that when you take the Suburban over to the landlord's?
Yeah.
Where's the landlord live at?
Over, like just right around the woods.
Okay, just like around the block or something?
Yeah.
And did someone come pick you up over there?
I just walked back.
Okay. How far of a walk is it?
It's not that far. It just, if you do a lot of walking, it kind of hurts.
I know. Can you tell? So, you come back, what happens with the dog?
We take the dog with us up to the house and everything.
What about the truck? His truck?
His dad we take the kennel, we put it in the truck, and we take them up there to the house and everything. We set it up, and Cody goes to bed because he has to go to work.
Okay. But you took your dad's truck up to your house?
Yeah.
Who drove the truck up there?
George did, because I can't drive a 6 shift.
Okay.
I tried, and I kind of keep killing the thing.
Okay. So
my dad actually laughed at me.
When's the next time you talk to your dad after that?
As she describes the distance between her father's trailer and his landlord's, Newbold makes a joke at his own expense, remarking he couldn't walk that far given his weight. This short quip erases the tension between suspect and detective, a mental relief that Cheyanne might earn again if she remains in Newbold's good graces. The limits of said graces are also established soon after. Cheyanne tries to make her own little joke about not being able to drive stick, but the detective doesn't even acknowledge this, let alone smile or laugh. The message is clear. Newbold will make Cheyanne more comfortable when she bows to his control over the conversation, and just as easily unsettle her should she stray even a little.
I'm getting frustrated because I'm like, I don't know what to do, and he's calmed me down several times and say, hey, look, calm down because you can't focus on everything if you're like fluster buzzle.
Huh?
Fluster buzzle.
Okay.
You know, flustered.
Okay. What did you go get out of the house?
I got picture frames, like family pictures and stuff. I got some of his tools. That's way like that was my grandfather's. He said things that he meant to him, and I got his DVDs out of there that are mixed with mine in the case, and then I got his crossbow that he had. But
nothing was missing at all except for his camping stuff and the clothes?
Yeah.
Nothing else? Nothing significant was missing?
He, in his text message, he said he got what he wanted, he got what he needed, sell the rest. I don't care about it, basically.
This section of the interview exhibits a recurring trend in the way Cheyanne speaks. She'll confirm some statement like there being nothing significant missing from her father's house, but as soon as Newbold asks after something specific, she immediately caves and contradicts herself. This happens most notably with $30,000 cash hidden in her father's computer tower.
What about this $30,000? Is that there?
No, the tower was missing too.
Oh, okay.
The tower that...
Isn't that pretty significant?
Yeah, like my dad, I asked him about it, he goes, I don't know what you're talking about.
And the fact that a revolver is missing from his gun collection.
So he has 3 guns, that's it?
Yeah, I know he has a handheld revolver that was missing too.
Oh, that's missing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just figure, okay, well, you know, he takes it with him because he always keeps it in his pocket.
Okay.
On some level, Cheyanne knows that it's suspicious these items are missing, so she won't readily offer this information. At the same time, she seems unsure what she can get away with concealing, and Newbold is learning it doesn't take much pushing for Cheyanne to reveal something she's hidden by omission.
You found a what? A raccoon?
Yeah.
A dead one?
Yeah.
Underneath the house?
Yeah.
How'd you find that under the house? Why'd you look under there?
Because I was trying to figure out where that smell was coming from.
Okay.
I looked around right there, I cleaned up dog shit.
But it wasn't dog shit. That's not that bad.
Yeah.
So the rats were dead in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And there was a dead raccoon under the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Newbold makes another underhanded challenge to Cheyanne, expressing doubt that the intense scent of decay can be explained by feces, though he won't yet question the conveniently decomposing raccoon. This is obviously a more plausible source of the smell, so first he must acutely interrogate and find fault in the logistics of Cheyanne's story. But moving this carcass isn't the only cleaning that begs questioning.
Was the house pretty clean though? Did you do any cleaning?
No, sir.
Okay.
I sprayed the floor with roach killer spray.
As with her father's missing items, Cheyanne seems sure that she did no other cleaning until Newbold presses her. Yet even this account of the war she's waged on insects and rotting meat doesn't quite capture the gut-churning scene that police encountered at the trailer. Exhausted cans of air freshener littered the residence, impotent against the overwhelming smell of decaying flesh. Flies swarmed over piles of rodent feces, and dark stains marred the furniture and timber flooring. Cheyanne will try to dismiss each facet of this foul sight, every excuse as nonsensical as her raccoon spiel.
Did you notice anything else in the house that didn't look right?
I looked around and I could see where my dad looked like he laid blankets out on the couch. The like lay on and stuff. I mean, I've sat on the couches and I just still smell a funny smell, and I just wondered.
You sat on the couches since your dad left?
Yeah.
Okay, was the sheets there?
Yeah.
The sheets draped over her father's couches reveal how crude Cheyanne's facade of innocence truly is. She claims that the blanket has been laid out so her father and daughter could be more comfortable watching TV, somehow believing that this will convince the detectives she can't know anything about the stains hidden underneath. Newbold's need and, indeed, tolerance for her flimsy commentary is dissipating.
I look at the news. Everything's the same. Nothing's really changed.
Well, besides the fact that his gun's missing.
Yeah.
And
his clothes and
his money and his tower.
The time for Cheyanne to recover between each confrontation is shrinking from 20 minutes to 8, then 5, then mere seconds. As her comfort diminishes, her anxiety and exhaustion grow.
What prompted you to finally call the police? I mean,
well, I've checked everything out to see if he really did go up there and found everybody that I've talked to. And I was like, well, I still ain't talked to him, and I'm really freaking concerned. So I went and I looked, and your office was, the state troopers was closed.
Mm-hmm. After almost 3 weeks, what prompted her to finally report her father and daughter's disappearance? Lacking a convincing motivation, she rambles about all the obstacles she suffered through before she could contact authorities.
So I waited till the morning to try to call you guys because I didn't know what the numbers were. Mm-hmm. And my friend that's friends with Matthew and Cody, his name's Kurt, and he and his wife gave us a number to call you guys.
What number? 911?
No, not 911, the actual police place.
The sheriff's office?
Yes, sir.
Much like her investigation with her father's bank, Cheyanne tries to distract the detectives with vaguely connected anecdotes, hoping they won't notice she never answered their question. But as this interview has made clear, Newbold and Clark notice far more than Cheyanne realizes.
It takes me a while to learn something, but once I learn it, I'm pretty good at it, and I've been a cashier before up in Georgia.
Okay.
So.
At Lowe's?
No, up in Georgia. I've worked at Pizza Hut was my first job. My cousin Tara got me.
Were you a server?
No, I was the person who did the prepping and washing the dishes.
Okay.
With everyone who works dishes.
Right. But now you work with money and you're pretty good. Have you ever been accused of stealing money or getting the count wrong or anything?
No, sir.
Okay.
Cheyanne is apparently gratified by the opportunity to truthfully deny committing a crime.
I double count. I double counted the end. I counted once, I counted twice, and I counted to the customer.
Okay.
Because that's what I taught at Dollar General when I worked there.
As a cashier?
Yes.
Okay.
I worked at McDonald's as a cashier too when I was pregnant with my daughter.
But do you know how cellular the cell phones work? Do you know how these work? They don't have a plug like a house phone, do they? They don't have like a cord and stuff, right?
No, they're wireless.
Right. Do you know how the wireless works though?
Yeah, it bounces off the satellite, right?
Sort of. Have you ever seen those cell towers? Have you ever seen those cell towers? They're tall, they get like things coming off of them.
Yeah.
That's what your cell phone uses. Okay.
Yeah.
If you live in an area where you don't get that much signal on your phone, it's like sometimes it doesn't work. Why do you think that is?
Because you're in a bad area. And
well, what do you mean by bad area?
Like maybe there's it's not picking up the frequencies or something like that.
Do you think maybe because there's not a tower nearby?
Probably.
Okay.
As he moves toward the topic of how cell phones work, Newbold is building toward direct confrontation. But this would be ineffective if Cheyanne doesn't have the basic knowledge to understand it. His use of phrases like, "Why do you think that?" evoke that of a Socratic teacher. And lacking any idea of where Newbold is going with this, Cheyanne sees nothing to be wary of. This comfort, coupled with an ego boost from her sincere denial of theft, positions her to remain engaged, answering questions with little hesitation.
If you were in the middle of the desert and there were no cell phone towers, do you think your cell phone's going to work?
No.
Okay. So the only way your cell phone works is by cell towers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you drive from your house, let's say there's a cell tower in your front yard. I'm not saying there is.
Okay.
Let's say there's a cell tower in your front yard. Do you think your phone is going to be using that cell tower at your house?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think if you drive to Plant City and go to Lowe's, do you think your cell phone's going to be using that same tower?
No.
Because what?
There might be another one probably, or...
Closer?
Yeah.
Okay. So...
My dad explained it to me.
He did?
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
He wanted me to learn.
Newbold doesn't take anything from off camera, so the reason for him suddenly standing isn't obvious. Regardless, the message to Cheyanne is clear. The atmosphere is changing, and he's far from enthralled by her testimony.
The stuff might be deleted off the phone, but it's still in her computer somewhere. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if I text him a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I found that weird that all of his text messages were kind of blank, and I have been, like, Josh said that he's been seeing this guy rides down the road with a bicycle too.
What is it? Where? What do you mean?
Like every day there's a guy that rides down the road in a
road?
Drainfield.
Okay. What does that mean?
I don't know. I was just thinking that.
Well, that guy that you just said has nothing to do with this case.
Yeah.
Right? Zero. That guy doesn't exist.
Though they haven't held the phone records against her as evidence yet, Cheyanne decides she needs to preemptively explain any inconsistencies between the texts and her narrative. She weakly blames malfunctioning technology and a half-formed excuse about a cyclist, but Newbold cuts her off before it can come close to making sense. With his tone evolving from doubtful to dismissive, he pulls no punches in retorting that the cyclist doesn't even exist.
So,
I was just thinking a different
I know, but here's the deal is that, so we're going to be able to see all, even if stuff's deleted off the phone, we're going to be able to see the text messages and everybody called and stuff and whatever. It stays in the computer, okay? Mm-hmm. And this goes back for years, okay? So we'll be able to get some from last week and the week before that and all that stuff. We're also, I'm concerned about a lot of stuff here, Cheyanne, okay? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying you're a bad person at all. I know you have a very tough life, okay? Having to deal with your daughter and their situations. And do you love your daughter?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I love her with all my heart.
All right. But I know you're having a tough time with that, and it's affecting your relationship, because you said that even with your daughter not there, it's made it better for you and Cody to work on your problems and get better as a unit.
So we can handle her.
Right.
Newbold makes a point to recognize Cheyanne isn't a bad person, essentially affirming the image of a suffering but loving mother that she's constructed. Newbold communicates a perception of Cheyanne that reflects how she views herself, fostering a sense of validation that mitigates the risk that she'll clam up when her actions are brought into question. To this end, he addresses her by name for the first time since the beginning of the interview. This kind of direct address will become more frequent to maintain Cheyanne's attention and investment in the conversation.
I don't think that, to be honest with you, I don't think that you found a dead raccoon under the house. Number one, because you already said that you found rats in the house, which I do not believe. Okay? So if you got the rats out, what would make you look, and you said that was what was thinking.
Yeah.
And you said that the meat had maggots on it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that the garbage can does not smell anything like rotten meat was in there. That stuff smells horrible. Horrible.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, I cook a lot of stuff in my house. Okay, a lot of meat. That's all, and I eat a lot of food, as you can tell, right? I throw meat and bones in my, you're not supposed to, because if it's not in the bag, they don't like it. But I still do it, okay? I don't follow all the rules and stuff, but I'll throw meat in my garbage can and it rots and all that. So it gets real disgusting, as you know. Mm-hmm. But that smell does not go away. It doesn't just disappear unless you clean it out with bleach and put special perfumes in there and all that stuff. But we had guys out there smell in that garbage can and it didn't smell anything like rotten meat. That would lead me to believe that there was no rotten meat there.
I threw it out in there.
Okay.
That
would lead me to believe there was no rotten meat in there.
When Cheyanne insists she threw out rotting meat, Newbold barely acknowledges her before repeating his challenge verbatim. From here on, he'll no longer take her at face value, and feebly reciting her lies will earn her nothing but interruption and criticism. Newbold will accost even small lies, as debunking the existence of rotting meat or a dead raccoon forces Cheyanne to confront why she's lied in the first place.
Do you think them rats just happened to die there right when your dad left? Do you think your dad's going to be in the house with dead rats with your daughter? Doesn't your dad love your daughter? He made it perfectly clear, according to you, that he wanted to spend his last year of his life with his granddaughter. Yeah. Why would he have her walking around with dead rats in the house? That's because that's not what happened. That's not what happened. I know why you got the bug killer and the cleaners. And I know that the house was cleaned up. And I know that your dad did not put those sheets on the couch. I know that. That's impossible. That's impossible. Because what's on that couch, if what's on that couch would have went through those sheets. So the sheets weren't just been, you know what you see what I'm saying? What's on that couch, if your dad had sheets on there, if your dad had sheets on the couch and something happened, that's going to be on the sheets. Okay? I'm telling you right now, I just need you to be honest with me. I don't think you found a dead raccoon. Okay? I really don't think that. I think you were probably near or under the house, but I think that you know where your dad and your daughter is. And if you say that you don't now, but later on we show that you do know, that doesn't show any love whatsoever in my book, regardless of what happened. If you have no remorse whatsoever for anything to do with their disappearance, that makes you look bad. That makes you, people will be like, she don't care about them. She doesn't love them. But people make mistakes all the time. And if you show remorse for that, then, you know, we can understand that. Okay? But I just need to know from you, because it's going to look bad if something happened. That's what I'm saying. And you know we're talking to Cody and Cody's dad. Yeah. And I don't know what Cody's saying right now. I'm going to find out. But if he's telling a different story and your stories don't match, then I know you're lying. Okay? I just want you to be honest, and now's the time. Now's because I don't want Cody telling on you for something and you taking some blame for something. But I'm going to tell you right now, husbands and wives, best friends, they do it all the time. They're not going to get in trouble. They're going to place blame on somebody else. And I think what he's going to say, he's going to tell us what happened, and he's going to blame it on you. He's going to say it was your idea because it's your kid. What happened?
Newbold makes the dichotomy between denial and confessing even clearer. Cheyanne is a good mother if she tells the truth, a bad person if she doesn't. The detective must be careful with his phrasing when he presents the more appealing option of showing remorse. Cheyanne has still not been detained, so he can't threaten or entice her as one might when negotiating a plea deal. Should the prospect of Cheyanne's community condemning her not intimidate her enough, Newbold reminds her that Cody is also being interviewed at this very moment. The risk of her partner, the person she's shown the most affection for, losing respect for her, should surely sway Cheyanne to do the right thing.
He's not going to have text messages on his phone that your dad is leaving the state with your beloved daughter, okay, because he has a year to live. He's not going to tell you that because he forgets stuff. You don't forget stuff. That's huge. That's huge. A man, your dad, okay, whether it be your dad or not, your dad is taking your daughter out of the state because he's dying, according to him. And he's going to change phones and all this stuff, allegedly, and all this stuff. I don't even think your dad sent those text messages, if they even exist. Did Cody delete them?
No.
You're still on his phone?
They're still on Cody's phone.
Here's what I'm going to see when I look at the phones. I can promise you this, okay? I can promise you, if they're on Cody's phone, or whatever your dad, whatever text messages that, or phone calls you made from your phone, if you really did, to your dad, this is what we're going to see on the records. We're not going to see anything at all, because they just didn't happen. Or we're going to see your dad's phone in the same place your phone is, in the same place Cody's phone is. That means that those phones are near each other and together. And the only way that would be happening is if your dad was sitting next to you, texting you or calling you, and people don't do that, they turn and talk to them, right?
Despite honing in on the specifics and faults in Cheyanne's story, the way Newbold speculates is intentionally vague. Without the phone records on hand, he can't be sure whether they'll find no texts at all from her father or texts from a suspicious location. So he proposes both scenarios, knowing that his suspect must connect with one of them. The value of his earlier groundwork manifests here as well. Otherwise, Cheyanne wouldn't understand the gravity of this kind of evidence.
No, me and my dad, we sat in the same room with seeing those text messages.
Okay, but these text messages are talking about going to Georgia and stuff.
Yeah.
It was not sent from the same room.
That's why I was
So,
wondering.
no, I'm wondering, what we're wondering is what happened, because we're going to be able to put all that together, okay? I'd rather not waste my time and find the daughter that you love, that it seems like I care more about right now, and I want to find your father that it seems like I care more about right now. I want to find them.
I want to find them too.
Okay, but I need you to tell me the truth. You know what happened to them, and I need you to be honest with me. What happened?
Newbold's evidentiary attacks go hand in hand with emotional strikes. Cheyanne has not yet taken the bait of proving she's a good mother, so he takes it one step further by suggesting he cares more for her father and daughter than she does. Cheyanne is quick to insist she's just as worried, but Newbold cuts off her superficial assurance. He'll allow her to speak freely if she shows this concern by telling the truth, but until she complies, he'll punish her with abrasive interruption.
Where are they? Let's just start with that. Just tell me where they're at, because we're going to find them.
I don't know.
Just tell me where they're at, Cheyanne.
I don't know, honest to God, I don't know.
Well, God's not here, okay, right? Is God here?
No.
So don't promise to God.
God's
I understand that, but He's not going to be able to tell me that you're telling the truth. I just want to know where they're at.
I don't know where they are. I don't.
Are they at the house? Is that what stinks?
I don't see them at the house. I looked through everywhere.
Here's the deal. Something happened at the house. I know that. Okay? There's blood at the house. There's blood at the house. Okay? And I know, you know what happened. I'm trying to find out from you. Did you go in there and find some bad stuff and you were scared and you guys covered it up and did something with them? Just tell me that. Nothing bad happened there and they got up and walked out of there on their own. So, did you go there?
I don't remember.
You don't remember if something bad happened there?
All I know is that everything looks normal.
But it's not normal. Okay? The sheets that you guys put on those couches in the love seat is covering up stuff. It's covering up stuff that we saw, that you know how it got there. Okay? So, if you go in and find some bad stuff in the house, I can understand if you're scared and you want to hide stuff. I understand that. Okay?
If the alternative question wasn't such an effective tactic, it wouldn't feature in so many interrogations. Newbold submits that maybe Cheyanne simply stumbled upon a gruesome scene, covering what she found out of fear, but notably is not the culprit. Lowering the bar of admission earns him a small concession. Cheyanne says she doesn't remember what happened to her father and daughter, rather than not knowing. It's certainly no confession, but it's a step in the right direction that accommodates a scenario where Cheyanne was involved, even if she doesn't remember.
My main concern right now is finding your dad and your daughter. And I don't want to mess with this all night. I just want to find them. Regardless of what happened, I want to find them. Okay? So, it makes you look like a horrible mother and person if you know where they're at, and we can prove that, and you say you don't know. That doesn't make you look like a good mother, a good loving mother that you do anything for your daughter, does it? If it is, then act like it. Don't protect anybody. This is your daughter. She's 6 years old, Cheyanne. She's 6 years old. She might have had some problems. Cheyanne, look at me. Look at me. Where are they at? Move your hand. Sit up. Sit up straight. Because I don't see one tear coming out of you. Okay? I don't see one tear.
Cheyanne tries to disengage, burying her face in her hands to create some visual and mental space from this confrontation. But Newbold won't allow her to withdraw, instructing her to look at him, her obedience a promising sign of her willingness to yield to the detective's authority.
I don't know where they are.
Yes, you do.
Cheyanne, we already know enough. We have enough information to know there's parts of your story that aren't true. You got to answer our questions. This stuff we have to know. All right, for your daughter. For your daughter, we need to find her.
I don't.
You do know. We have enough people in the neighborhood that know that you know. We didn't just talk to you. We talked to other folks in that neighborhood. You need to tell us what you know. You need to tell us where your daughter's at. There's no way your dad left there to leave for the rest of his life and left his wallet there and left his money in his wallet and left his car there. That just didn't happen. This stuff doesn't make sense, Cheyanne.
He would leave your daughter's medication there? Really?
Detective Clark's rare interruption verifies that the police have sound evidence. His wholly neutral tone, in contrast with Newbold's high-pitched urgency, connotes that his input may be less biased or manipulative, blocking Cheyanne from writing off their suspicion as just a product of Newbold's emotionality. Newbold's abrupt note-taking doubtlessly heightened Cheyanne's anxiety, forcing her to wonder if she said something especially incriminating. His incredulity and severity renders Clark calm and approachable by comparison, reinforcing a subtle good cop, bad cop dynamic.
I don't remember. All I remember is that they text saying that he's going to Georgia.
Okay, I believe that text may exist, but I don't think it came from your dad. So there's no reason why Cody would be taking your dad landlord's phone. I mean, look at it. Sit up, Cheyanne. Sit up. Okay. You guys, your dad's missing, and your 6-year-old daughter's missing. Okay, and you guys are cleaning up the house, bombing the house, moving cars around, taking this truck, taking your dog. Like, they don't even exist. You know what that tells me? That tells me, and I've done this job a long time, this is not my first case, okay? That tells me that you know where they're at. And you know they're not coming back.
Exactly, said he wasn't coming back, so...
I know, but that's what the text message said. That's what the text message said, that either you or Cody sent to Cody's phone. Your dad didn't send that text message. Remember the phone records I was telling you about? We have the phone records. Okay? So I know all that stuff you said is not true. It's impossible. So, where are they at? Cheyanne?
I really don't know.
Yes, you do. Well, what happened to them?
I don't know.
Do you agree with me that a lot of the stuff you said is not true? Do you agree with me?
I'm just going off of what I remember.
Okay.
I'm not remember.
Cheyanne, I want you to sit up. Huh?
My mind is...
Well, let's take this a little. I want you to sit up and look at me. Please? Can you do that for me?
Cheyanne has become too combative to respect Newbold's commands to sit up. In retaliation, he not only moves his chair to cut off her access to the door, but closes the space between them. He penalizes her disobedience by intruding on her personal space, making it difficult for Cheyanne to ignore him and find solace behind her hands. At the risk of shutting her down completely with uncurbed aggression, his words take on a gentler quality when he asks her to sit up for him. This small variation from order to request makes Cheyanne feel as though she's doing Newbold a favor, further associating compliance with relief and defiance with discomfort. Any lies from this point out won't be tolerated by the detectives. Newbold wants to convince her they've already heard and rejected these falsehoods, and that they possess enough evidence to know when she's lying. The goal is to make telling the truth the only way Cheyanne can meaningfully contribute.
On a scale of 1 to 10, you guys have a 10 relationship. But on your daughter's scale, you have like a 5.
Yeah, I've been trying to work on it, but she doesn't seem like she wants to work on it.
Clearly.
But
where is she at?
She's with my dad.
Where? I believe she's probably with your dad, possibly. But where are they at?
I don't know.
Cheyanne.
All I know is that the text message said that he was...
Forget the text messages, okay? Because I'm telling you, it did not come from your dad. It did not come from some guy riding on the road. It did not using your dad's phone.
I'm not lying.
You can say whatever you want, but if you're telling me that you're saying the truth, then I could just tell you that you're not, because we can prove otherwise. So if you're not telling the truth, that means you're trying to hide something. And if you're trying to hide something, I would say that makes you look like a bad mother. I just want to know where they're at. Let's just start there. I don't care what happened to them disappearing. I want to know, let's start where are they at. Let's just start there.
I don't know where they are. I don't.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave this room for a second with Detective Clark with you, and I'm going to go find out if Cody's story matches your story. Okay? Then I'm going to find out if he's told the truth. See what I'm saying? What if he gives me a whole different story? Like he tells us where they're at.
Newbold proposes that Cheyanne just start by sharing where to find her father and daughter. His use of the word just trivializes the request, so his suspect might perceive this as safe and uncomplicated information to provide, yet reality is quite the opposite. Of course, it could take many more hours for Cheyanne to warm up to the full truth, so Newbold hastens her along with the warning that he'll soon leave to speak with Cody. This reminder that Cody may disclose problematic information feeds Cheyanne's anxiety, as well as imposing a time limit for her confession.
You don't remember where your dad and your daughter is?
All I know is that they went to Georgia.
They did not go to Georgia. Okay,
I know, because you said there's blood in the house.
There is. And you know the blood's there. You knew the blood was there when you were at the house. You knew before the police got there.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Where are they?
I don't know. All I know is that when I take my medicine, I pass out, and I don't remember what happened during the time that I'm.
So when did you pass out the last week?
I passed out. I've been passing out a lot when I take my medicine.
You passed out. I don't believe that. Okay.
Newbold's scrutiny has stripped Cheyanne's faith in her original story. She's now scrambling to somehow establish plausible deniability, and does this by blaming her medication. This seems to be an evolution of her switch from outright denial to not remembering things. In Cheyanne's mind, if her explanations and timeline don't make sense, well, that's a side effect of medication, and simply not her fault.
Look, I know why the bombs are there. I know why the fresheners are there. It has nothing to do with rotten meat, which you failed to tell me until I asked, because I already knew about the rotten meat story, which is a fib, a lie, not the truth. It has nothing, those bombs and all that have nothing, zero, to do with meat, dead rats, and a raccoon. You understand me? Yeah. Do you understand? Are we on the same page? And I'm right. I know I'm right. I know I'm right.
I'm just going by what I remember.
Oh, so is it possible that's not true then? Because you're blacked out?
Maybe, I don't know. This is what I remember. I just want to call family to see if you
No, did you call the police?
No, I waited.
You had to get a phone number from somebody for the police station. Have you heard of 911? Have you heard of that? Just tell me you've heard of that.
Yeah, I've heard of 911.
Okay, you've heard of 911. So why didn't you call 911? Is it an emergency?
Well, yeah, but it's like...
It's an emergency. Your daughter is gone with your dad, disappeared with no medication. Is that emergency? Please tell me yes.
Yeah.
Do you think it's an emergency?
Yeah, I just wasn't thinking.
You weren't thinking?
Because I was freaking out, like, why would he leave?
He didn't leave.
I know, because he said there's blood in the house.
What does that mean?
I mean, somebody did something to my daddy.
Okay, so
I don't know who.
So what happened?
Cheyanne will increasingly refer to her father as Daddy to strengthen the impression she's a clueless innocent fretting over the disappearance of her dear papa. But of course, this new persona makes her attitude to informing authorities even more jarring. Her disturbing failure to alert police isn't exactly news to detectives. Yet, where before she was lightly questioned in a clarifying tone, now Newbold will swing back at her lies.
Evidence does not lie. They have no reason to lie. Evidence is not a person. Evidence tells you one thing and that's the truth. That's what's great about it. Alright? But here we have a grieving mother who's lying about where her daughter is. So therefore you're not grieving. Yes, you are. You and I both know that you're lying.
I'm telling you, I'm
No, you're not. And I want you to sit up and look at me, please. Because that's not working, all right? This little show is not working.
It's not a show.
You're not crying. There's not one tear. Your daughter is missing. I tell you, there's blood in the house. She doesn't have her medications, and not one tear is falling from your face. So don't try to make them come out now. But
I am crying. I just can't. I'm dehydrated.
Do you want more water?
Yes.
Well, drink that out.
Just as he chastises her lies, Newbold undermines Cheyanne's dehydration. On every level, from her testimony to her bodily functions, he wants to impress upon his suspect that this little show isn't working. This adds yet another layer of overwhelming, racing thoughts to have, further impairing her ability to evade Newbold's questioning.
Did you black out when you found out your daughter didn't go to her doctor's appointment?
Yeah.
You blacked out then?
Yeah, I blacked out, and my friend goes, "What's the matter?" I said,
Who said that? Who said that?
One of the girls.
What's her name?
Team,
come on. What's her name? What's her name?
Black girl at work.
What's her name?
Shaniqua.
Shaniqua? What's her name?
She called her Shaniqua. I can't pronounce her name.
What, is she a...
heavy set black girl with glasses.
And she asked you, are you okay? And you said you blacked out?
I didn't tell her I blacked out because I just don't...
But she asked you if you're okay?
Yeah.
Why did she ask you that?
Because I literally was in shock.
You look like you're in shock because you found out your daughter didn't go to her appointment?
Yeah.
Okay. You were in such shock that your daughter didn't go to her appointment. You say you called your dad one time and it went to voicemail. And you said you just said you were in such shock that you drove past their house that you didn't even stop to find out why your daughter didn't go to her appointment. That's how shocked you were.
I'm telling you.
You did not black out at the storage unit. You didn't briefly black out at Lowe's whenever you found out your daughter didn't go to the doctor. You know why I know that? Because you weren't concerned about it, or you would have stopped at your house, at your dad's house, and said, "Hey, whether or not your dad have a good relationship or not, you're going to say, hey, why didn't y'all go to the doctor?"
A familiar formula plays out. The detectives allow Cheyanne to lie, then promptly point out how it contradicts earlier statements. They continue forcing her to chase her own logic into dead ends until she realizes the only open path ends with confession. Newbold leaves to confer with his team and learn what Cody has shared. For the past 2.5 hours, Cody has been subject to an equally intense interrogation. Police have sought to understand the extent of both his and Cheyanne's involvement. But as Cody has clarified his movements over the past 2 weeks, it's become apparent that Cheyanne has far more to hide. As Cody's interviewers leave him alone for a while, it seems this fact is becoming clear to him as well, and he decides to divulge what he's realized is crucial information.
There was a shovel in the tub.
There was a what?
A shovel.
A shovel?
Yeah, you know the flat-headed shovel. Well, it's like a straight concrete with it and stuff. There's a shovel in the tub. Had water in it. That's the rust stain in the tub. I don't know if you illuminated that or whatever. See if there's blood washed in it. But she also asked me something funny at Walmart.
What's up?
How long does it take maggots to decay your body?
What?
Yes. And she asked me if I thought one of those big 55-gallon tubs would hold the body.
When did she ask you that?
This is maybe 3-4 days ago.
These conversations cast a morbid light on the role Cheyanne has played in all this and will radically change the pace of her interview when Newbold returns, armed with Cody's testimony.
Cheyanne, let me ask you a question. Why did you ask Cody at Walmart if he thinks a body would fit in a 55-gallon drum? Why did you ask him that?
I didn't ask her.
You didn't ask him that?
No.
Did you ask him about maggots?
No.
You didn't ask him that.
No.
He's lying.
I don't remember.
He's lying? Why was there shovel in the bathtub? Cheyanne, why was there shovel in the bathtub? This time you get real now. Why was there shovel in the bathtub?
I don't know.
Did you put it there? Did you put it there? Just tell me why. Why did you put it there?
Excuse me.
Why did you put it there?
I didn't put it there.
Yes, you did. I know you did. I just want you to tell me why. Why is there shovel in the bathtub?
There's a shovel outside. There's no shovel in the bathtub.
Is that something? Is it outside now?
Yeah, that's where it's been.
Why was there a shovel in the bathtub? Don't look over there. Look at me. Why is there a shovel in the bathtub?
Newbold notices Cheyanne's every movement, catching and criticizing even the motion of her eyes to the door, imparting that she can't get away with anything under his scrutiny. His voice has become low and quiet, connoting seriousness, but also forcing Cheyanne to listen more closely. He'll need to draw on tactics like this more often to keep her engaged as her weariness and anxiety grows. The first step of this interrogation is over, as the detectives read Cheyanne her Miranda rights and move on to getting a full confession.
This man you do not want to lose, right? You even said your dad said you finally got a good man, right?
Yeah.
So you're proud of that.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose him, right?
No.
But he threatened you that you're going to lose him if you don't do something about your daughter, right?
So we better help.
No, he said you better take care of this situation. You couldn't control it. You couldn't control it. You couldn't. And you were afraid of losing Cody, so you took care of him.
Newbold's attention to detail is on full show here. He refers back to Cheyanne's father approving of Cody, an anecdote she mentioned just once, 30 minutes into the interview. Recalling such a detail strengthens a sense of empathy between detective and suspect and encourages Cheyanne to play along. Her confirmation that she doesn't want to lose Cody now admissible in court.
What did you do with him?
I don't know where they are.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. When you got there, did it get out of control and your dad came at you or something? You had to defend yourself with your gun? I can understand that. I can understand that.
I just can't remember.
But what happened? Do you remember all these times that your dad comes at you and hits you and belittles you, but you don't remember that day you dropped your daughter off?
No, I don't remember. It's like I became a different person. Like I blacked out.
And what happened when you blacked out? You eventually woke up because you cleaned up. So what happened?
The alternative question is reintroduced, now from an angle of self-defense rather than concealing someone else's crime. Newbold's framing of a murder in self-defense being an understandable necessity eases her reluctance to confess. Note that Newbold says such murder would be understandable, not permissible. It's worth noting that even if this truly was a case of self-defense, Cheyanne would have to overcome the prosecution's evidence to prove this in court. She'd also still be subject to charges of evidence tampering and abuse of a corpse. But Cheyanne is likely ignorant to these complexities, and all that she registers is the idea that confession might be safe.
And it may have been because you're mad, your dad came at you and stuff went wrong. Okay? I can understand all that, but we still need to find them. Isn't that important? Isn't that important? All I want to know from you, Cheyanne, is where are they? You do know.
I don't remember.
Okay, but what happened when you got there? Did your dad get mad at you and come at you?
Yes.
Okay, so what did you do in return? You said you have to defend yourself. What did you do?
I hit him.
With what?
My hand, and I punched him.
And then what?
He got pissed at me and I was on the floor and I don't remember.
And then you killed him. In self-defense. Did you kill him in self-defense or did you do it because you hate him?
I don't remember. That's
yes, you do. You did it in self-defense, right?
Newbold nods along as Cheyanne participates in an easy back and forth, rewarding her straightforward answers. This comes to a sharp halt as he adds the crucial question, making Cheyanne freeze in alarm. Newbold throws up his arms in concession, adding "in self-defense" to lessen the blow. This emotional roller coaster rapidly washes over Cheyanne, leaving no space to resist the redirection from whether she killed her father to why she killed him.
My dad.
This is a grown man. Can you beat your dad up?
No.
Okay,
No,
so you're a girl, right? Just tell me what happened.
My dad is really strong.
I know. So tell me what you had to do. Tell me what you had to do. What did you have to do?
I don't know. I blacked out.
But when you came to, what was going on? Where were you?
I was in my car.
And what happened at the house?
Yeah, I remember.
What did you do to your dad? Where did you take your dad?
I don't even know.
Is he under the house?
No.
Is he under the house?
No, sir.
Where's he at then?
I don't know.
Is he in the woods? Where's your
your?
daughter at?
I don't know.
What did you do with her? Did you hide her?
I remember my dad pushed my daughter really hard away from me because she was trying to break him up and
what
hurting
happened?
me.
What happened when he pushed your daughter? Where'd she fly into?
She fell into the knife that he always carries.
She fell into the knife?
Yeah.
He had a knife in his hand?
Yeah.
And did that hurt her?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, she fell into it, like, where did it hit her at?
In her neck.
The knife hit her in her neck? Okay, and then...
I don't know if it went like by her neck or what.
Did you see blood?
I don't remember that. I don't remember. I just remember I blacked out.
Newbold appeals to Cheyanne's self-victimization, acknowledging that her father, being a male and larger than her, could pose a real threat to her. The opportunity to lay blame on him has become too enticing to pass up, and she seizes the alternative question. Though she's cautious and dips in and out of soothing denial, Newbold persists with questions and her memory conveniently broadens.
Okay, so what happened when you got there? Did he come at you with a knife?
Yeah.
And then what did you do?
I kicked him in his balls and then he got pissed off even more and I wound up on the floor and Lucky was just looking at me and I looked at my dog like, come and help me, Lucky, help.
Where was Lucky at?
He was cowering in the kitchen.
Was he in a cage or?
No, Lucky can't really hear all that well. My daughter stuck her fingers in her ears and now she's deaf.
She's deaf?
Yeah, because my daughter kept shoving her fingers in her ears. And
so Lucky won't get him to help you, so what'd you have to do?
all I remember is that he came this way with this and then I pushed it away and my daughter was...
Say that again?
He came at me like this.
With a knife?
Yeah, like, and I pushed it away. Like, he had this on and pushed it this way, and then my daughter was coming this way, and that's all I remember is you pushing her away.
But he had a knife in his hand?
Yes.
Okay. And then, did you see blood on your daughter?
I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all.
Okay. So how did you get your dad off you? I mean, how did it end?
I don't remember that.
Cheyanne, if you're saying self-defense, then I would like to know what happened, okay? If you're saying he's attacking you, you can do whatever you need to do to save your life. That's okay. I need to know that because I don't believe you blacked out.
Newbold is no longer limited to bluntly insisting that she does remember. Now he can put forth the argument that if killing was in self-defense, she doesn't have to fear sharing her whole story. This angle will prove far more compelling, especially as it doesn't belittle or conflict with Cheyanne's victim complex.
Are they under the house?
No, they were in the shed at the landlady's house. I didn't know what to do.
They're in the shed of the landlady's house?
No, I didn't know what to do.
Are they in totes or what?
Yes.
Okay.
This admission is Newbold's most crucial win. Cheyanne has revealed the location of the bodies, and better yet, has done so after being Mirandized. They've not only secured irrefutable, admissible proof that Cheyanne was at minimum involved with hiding the bodies, but access to vital evidence that can illuminate her guilt in much clearer detail. The alternative question has achieved its exact textbook effect on Cheyanne. and she's offering up details that no criminal in their right mind would, without careful framing on the detective's part. With his suspect willing to share, Newbold pushes on for more and more details.
So, what hand did your dad have the gun in?
The left hand.
Was he left-handed?
That was how he could reach underneath there to grab it with the left hand.
And it was underneath the cushion or the couch?
The couch itself.
Or the love seat?
He's on the left side of the couch right here. He's reaching underneath the couch. And then it's like, oh shit, that's where I put the gun.
And he pulled it out?
He pulled it out.
Then
I pushed him and he
so he's sitting on the love seat, right?
He's laying down on the love seat.
Okay, so
he's holding this.
Are you standing up?
Yes, I'm on my knees.
Can you show me? Exactly? I'm gonna lay on the floor, and you get on your knees. I need to understand this, Cheyanne. Can you show me exactly what he did?
I leaned over and I pulled the thing and I pushed it towards his neck when he fired.
I can't hear you. I need you to move your arms, please. He's laying on the couch, right? Look at me. Cheyanne. He's laying on the couch, right? And you're right here on your knees? He's this way? Okay. So he's on the couch, or on the love seat. The couch is right here?
I didn't think that's the way I'm in it. I just got scared.
But the couch is right here?
Yes.
So where are you at? Right here?
Right here.
Can you just stand up? You don't have to get on your knees, but can you stand up exactly where you were? No, can you stand up, please? So he reaches down underneath the couch and grabs the gun with his left hand? Okay. Does he point at you?
We're closer to each other.
No, I understand. Does he point at you? Tell me you gotta show, I need you to show me exactly what he did. This is very important. No, you need to get up. Can you get up, please? It's very important.
Even at that one, I just didn't feel like that.
The gun went off here?
Yes.
Okay. Did that kill him? Did that kill him?
No, he was pushing more like that and then fired a couple more rounds. Because I was scared that he was going to try to kill me.
With Newbold's enthusiastic physical participation in Cheyanne's story, she could be forgiven for thinking the detectives are finally on her side. This relief would be a blessing in the light of the intense anguish she displays. But Newbold and Clark are far from compassionate to her plight. They'll spend another painful hour teasing out the specifics of what really happened on July 18th. But the full truth won't be understood until Mark and Meredith's bodies are recovered and autopsied. On the evening of July 18th, after Vicky had visited Mark's home, Cheyanne returned armed with a knife and prepared to retrieve a handgun she stowed under the living room sofa. Cuts and bloodstains on the sofa suggest the pair were lounging there when they were attacked. The shovel that Cody saw in the bathtub had been used to scrape viscera off the floor. The imagined raccoon was designed to explain the stench of blood which had seeped through the floorboards and under the house. Her father and daughter's remains were found in large totes stashed in the shed of her landlord's backyard. Even Cheyanne's love for Cody didn't survive her crime. During the 4-week trial, her defense lawyers argued that Cody was a violent abuser and the true culprit. Cheyanne had confessed out of fear, and the jury gave this story about as much credit as it deserved. After just 85 minutes of deliberation, she was found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder. Jurors recommended the death penalty, but in February of 2021, Circuit Judge Jalal Harb sentenced her to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In June 2022, she filed to have the sentence reduced, which was denied 2 weeks later. Meredith Jessie was found with a pink blanket, a colorful bracelet, and a stuffed dolphin toy. She would have turned 13 this year. Richard Hunt, a cousin of Mark Wheatley, remembers riding bikes with him till the small hours of the morning. Though they grew apart as the years slipped by into adulthood, Richard sorely misses his dearest friend.